Well, hello YouTubers, Reloading Bench back with you once again. And as you can tell, this is grinder-ish related. And I wanted to do a follow-up. Maybe this is part 2 on the grinder scenario saga. Up until recently, I was perfectly satisfied with my relatively bulky, relatively heavy Dewalt. And my corded Dewalt, because of what I do around the shop, the garage, the bench, the projects, the whatever. The one thing that I thought about that is a little scary when I use this is that's an on and an off switch. In fact, it's on so hard that you can't push that off. You have to press it off. So you can't well, maybe I guess you can. I've always had challenges turning this, shutting this off. Maybe it's because I've always had gloves on. Half the time I'll use the handle, half the time I won't. But what I will say is this puppy can be scary because when it's on and you're doing something and it gets away from you, it stays on. So one of the things I looked for specifically when I was doing my cordless evaluation between different brands, if I would have gone the Dewalt, it would have been the same feature set as this Ryobi. Number one feature being the paddle. So that puppy's whoop, and that was not on tight. I had just taken off the cutting wheel. All right, now we're on it tight enough to be able to do that. But the beauty of this particular design is if that gets away from me, it's going to spin down. So it's not in a forever on. I like this. I like the flexibility of it. I don't like the fact that the batteries don't last so long. So I think I have found my middle of the ground solution to the problem or challenge between these two, and that would be this Dewalt model DWE 402W, and they make a couple of 402s. This particular version offers a dust. This doesn't have any ability to kick dust away. I guess you could say that's the ability to kick dust away, but nothing back here. And again, I don't have anything wrong with this grinder. Do I need 3 effing grinders? No, I don't. Technically, do I need 2? You can make a case for it. But after using this at the shop at school, I immediately knew that I liked the flexibility of the battery. As I said, didn't like the time of how quickly the battery drains. But again, that's part of the deal. So this particular so much for a quick change wheel. This particular grinder is the same price as this grinder. Same basic features. And it looks like it comes with a Dewalt wheel. So I'll have to see what that costs. Seems like it's kind of heavyish duty. Maybe a little heavier duty than and it has a bunch of papers shaped like a interesting, and it has a little silica packet. So that's what comes in the box. So that's the obvious unboxing. We'll keep the directions handy because we all know how challenging new devices can be for me. So right off the bat, so here's the here's what makes this a W model. This area here that kicks out the dust. Okay, so that's a little bit different. So on the Ryobi, it's an up motion, which, to be quite honest, is not bad. The ones at the school were hideous in terms. I'd have to take my glove off to be able to operate them. This is a little bit different. This is down, so maybe a little more intuitive. This feels about the same weight. I'd say it feels about the same weight as this. Same level of... I can get a little more finger around this one, so it's slightly smaller, but in essence about the same thing. The guard, I would say, is a bit deeper, and I thought it was a toolless. Maybe that's a different model. That's interesting that this is considered. I don't know if that's a lock. And I don't know if this is used because this looks dusty, but it's very obvious this is not used here. So I'm going to say maybe that's just my fingerprint from right now. So if that was on, yeah, that's a lock. So it has some, I don't remember if this had a lock. No, it does not have a lock. So that's a double-edged sword. So the lock essentially turns this into almost this. So half a dozen of one, six of another. This particular cover here looks very similar to the Ryobi in terms of being able to adjust, and it locks. I'm kind of liking that. I like that a lot better than this doesn't move. Again, this is old, and there's nothing wrong with this. It's older. So, and the handle looks, yeah, whatever. It's a handle. I'd have to look in my Dewalt bag to see what the handle looks like for this. I'd be willing to bet the handle, I don't know. Can't remember if it's a little fancier. The Ryobi, if I recall, was a little fancier. So let's see how we get this off, because this is very similar to what they have at school that uses more of the, what I would call the Ryobi wrench. So Ryobi definitely gets the thumbs up over the degree of comfort for the handle versus the Dewalt. But this is what is attached at school to the cable, and there's nothing to attach this. But it looks like, is this universal? No, it's not. Okay, so that's not universal. So for the Ryobi, that fits the Ryobi, does not fit the Dewalt. So there's a reason they gave me this, and that's probably the reason. I'm going to guess that is the lock. There we go. But yep, I think that's what they want me to lock this in with. So I will double check that. I'm pretty confident that's what that is. Let me lock that in a little bit so when we turn it on, it doesn't go flying, because we don't need stuff to go flying. Let's see what we got direction wise. Okay, so we don't have the 422N. Number 4, it's called the threaded lock flange. So they do not show They do not show the long ass Allen wrench. Let's see what we got for pictures and usage. Yes. 18. To remove the wheel, depress the spindle lock button and loosen the threaded lock flange. Mounting non-hubbed wheels. See figure E and F. E and F. Okay, so depending on if the wheel spins after the clamp nut is tightened, check the orientation of the threaded clamp nut. If a thin wheel is installed with the pilot on the clamp nut against the wheel, it will spin because the height of the pilot preventing the clamp nut from holding down the wheel. So you would just change that. Okay, so yeah, there's nothing, there's no rocket science to this one. So let's plug it in and get stuff out of the way and hear what it sounds like compared to this Dewalt. Actually, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna, instead of using power there, let me do it from the back of the garage. One less thing in front of my face. Oh wow. I was expecting to have ground. No ground. All right, here we go. Maiden on. And Murphy's effing law, everything has to fall. Okay. This is 11,000 RPM. The Ryobi, I still have the box. The Ryobi is listed at 18 volts, speed up to 30% faster cutting, runtime of up to 200 cuts. Up to 200 cuts per charge. I don't know how they define cut. Compared to cutting 3/8 inch rebar. Let me see what the Ryobi manual talks about in terms of RPM. Or not. Okay, that's other languages. I will probably have to find out online. So maybe when I edit this, I will put in what this motor is rated at. 90, let's see, rated at least, to reduce the risk of injury, always use proper guards. When grinding, use only accessories rated at least 9,200 RPM. So this, it's at least 9,200 RPM. This one says 9,200 RPM. So we're going to go with 9,200 RPM unless I find out otherwise. This says 11,000 RPM. And that feels pretty, I'm going to say pretty beefy. Pretty beefy. And now for the old standard. And this Dewalt model number is DW400. And this is 10,000 RPM. So this one's 10% more. Notice how I had that on accidentally? How fucked up would that have been? Yeah, it would have been because this was touching. Yeah, that would have made things go fly. Yeah, this one's clearly more powerful. All right, so We're going to call this Goldilocks. This one, a little old and dangerous because of the power switch. This one, loving the paddle, loving the flexibility, loving the guard, adjustment, movement. Not liking the battery life length for cutting. This one, loving the paddle, and to be honest, the ability to lock it on if I'm doing something long and don't want to hold the paddle on. Also love the flexibility of moving the guard, one-touch movement. I like the security of knowing I can tighten this down very easily manually. I don't know if there's a place, I'll have to look in the manual a little closer, to hide this, because it would be great if there was a place to hide it. I don't see a place to hide it on the actual tool. Like the other Ryobis had a little spot in the handle for the tool, and I forgot on this one, I actually do like the fact that this is both toolless and tool for your level of satisfaction. So considering this is probably the same arbor size as this, I could probably put this tool on here to give me the same results. I'm also going to look online and see if Dewalt has a toolless flange nut, because I believe some of their other tools come with that. So I'm going to say that this eliminates my worry about this, so I can grind for days. Gives me the safety that this one does not, and is very close in functionality, meaning the particular guard, movement of the guard, the paddle, and potentially the toolless, but I'm not going to lose a lot of sleep over that one, to be honest, because even in the welding class, when I was doing the bench, I didn't trust myself to just hand tighten this, so I tightened it by hand and then with the tool. So peace of mind. So I'm going to say that maybe these two are the new contenders. This gets retired to the back of the bench for resurrection when needed, or maybe special purpose. Maybe this becomes a particular dedicated something or other, but maybe this one goes on the welding cart, and this goes in the tool bench for grinding, newer, safer grinding. So kind of liking this. Didn't think I'd be spending hundreds of dollars on grinders anytime soon, but military discount, so this came in at 98 bucks. I think this came in at about the same, and I got my free metal grinding wheel, but not a free cutting wheel, as I did with the Ryobi. I'm still going to call this a win because I think this is pretty cool. In fact, I'm going to go look for my old handle to see if it's any better. The old handle is better than the new handle. Be right back. All right, this bag is dusty and it's full of lots of different tools and accessories for my years of whatever. This is the handle for the old one, and in fact the difference, I will say, I did not point this out. You know, when you think about a tool to remove this flange nut and a tool to remove this flange nut, this tool isn't deep enough with this type of grinding wheel. So this particular nut kind of sucks. I have to actually get in there with a socket, whereas putting this in here, I would have no problem getting to it. So this is definitely a better design than this particular nut design, but I kind of do like the toolless design. And Murphy's Law has struck. Once I was in the middle of talking a minute ago, and as I was in the middle of talking ago, the camera beeped and it went dead because the memory card was full. So I took the time to clean out some files, and I forgot to mention one other comparison factor. and that was the dust. That's what makes this model $10 more expensive than a comparable model that looks identical, is this little dust area. So you'll see on this model, all kind of dust get up in here, all kind of dust. It's sealed right here. I already got gunk there. I'm guessing that's shipping oil stuff. And motor and dust extraction that way, whereas this is just venting. So again, there's enough combination between these two that makes this one pretty desirable for less than $100. And I talked about the handle, and this nut you can get on the Rainforest, 2 for $10. You can get like a 6-pack with the tool, this kind of tool, for like $10. So a flange nut of my choice will not be a challenge. Not a big fan of this thing. You know, for this kind of cutting wheel, it worked fine. Actually, it would be like this. This kind of deep one, not so bueno, not so bueno. But and the handles, I'm gonna call them pretty equal. It's a little beefier in terms of grip. This is a little thinner, a little bit longer, like a finger width's longer, just different texture. You know, same. This one unbranded, even though this is what came with the Dewalt. This one, they're making sure that you know it's a Dewalt. So that is that. I have no doubt this will perform better than this because it's got 10% more power. So it will perform as good or better. And I like the feature of moving the blade guard, the wheel guard around as easy as I do with this one. This one, different finish. I kind of like the matte black. Yeah, that's what's messy because I was doing stuff in class. Yucky. So now I'll clean up and we're going to call this a wrap. That's a keeper. Later.